Hey, this is Professor Homa. Welcome to EX8 shipping address. And after you've downloaded your EX8 folder, it's going to have one file in it. It's just going to be an EX8 shipping start.html. And what you could do is go to brackets or whatever you're using for your text editor. And in brackets, I'm going to use a file open folder, so it kind of defines it as a folder. So I'm going to go find that folder that I was just working on. And I'm going to define kind of my EX8 folder as the folder, my work folder. That's kind of the way brackets does it. So I'm going to hit open, and it should show me just the HTML file in there, which eventually we could change it to be index. But for now, I'll just call it EX8 shipping start. And if I even want to save this, I could save it with my last name. I'll just change the last name on it to be mine. First initial, so I'll save that down so I'm not working on the start file, just so if I ever had to go back to the start file for whatever reason. Okay, so this is just a HTML file to start, and what I'm also going to do, before I link to anything in here, I'm going to create a new file and save it in the same place, and I'm going to do file save as, and I'm going to call one, I'll just call it EX8 style. I'll call it style because I'm also going to have an EX8JS, but I'll call this EX8 style.css. And then I'll create another one, and I'll go file new, and I'll do a file save as, and I'll call this one ex8.js. This will be where our external JavaScript file will be. So we'll have all three of our files, including the original start one, but these will be in here, so hopefully they'll be seen then when we need to go link to them. So I'm going to go back to my file that I saved with my last name, and in here here's a place for external CSS file. I'm going to link to it in here. I'm going to do the link rel, and if you select rel in brackets, it'll give you a choice, and I'm going to look for style sheet, and then I'm going to do type, and if I choose type, it'll automatically use the text CSS, and then the last thing I'll do is I'll do ref, and if I choose ref, it should look for one of my external files, and I'm going to choose the CSS one, and that's it. That's my link to my CSS file, which I don't have anything yet. And then at the bottom, and I'll explain later why we're putting this at the bottom, but basically we want our script to load after all the HTML has loaded. So we're going to even put our script tag at the bottom, and we're going to do this by doing script, and then we're going to do source, and we're going to use our ex8.js. I think we could do type. We could do type text JavaScript if we want to. We don't have to do this. And then we'll finish that off with our closing script tag. So we could do that like that. So script source equals ex8.js, type equals text JavaScript, and then we'll finish it off with a script closing tag on that. So that should also be linking to this ex8. So we should have all our files ready to go. And I don't think we have to do anything with our HTML just yet. But what I am going to do is preview it, so I'll preview it just to see what I have so far. We saw what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like this when it's done, but right now it looks like this. It's all kind of out of order, and we're going to fix it up. We're not going to do a whole lot. We're just going to put a little margin around the page. And notice I did make in the HTML that I'm giving you, I did make this one for the address and the city a little longer. So we're going to put some margin around here. We'll do that in the body, and then we'll kind of line things up a little. We'll line up these are your labels, and these are your input fields here. Even the button is an input field. If you look at your HTML, you can see there's labels. The label 4 attribute is being used for all the labels, and then the input type, there's mostly text, and then one is a button at the end. There's no radio buttons or drop-down lists in this particular form. And then also what's in this form, you can't see it on our finished product that we just looked at. You can't see anything, but down here is that div, and there's nothing in the div so far. There's a div called full address, and there's going to be 3 paragraphs, one called full name, one called street address, and one called city state zip. And what we're going to do in those paragraphs is we're going to put information that's going to be inside there. Okay, so we'll start off with our CSS to try and make this look nice. I'll even put my comment up here just to say that it's a CSS file. You don't need to do this, but I'll start it off that way with a comment. And then I'll put my first body selector. And what I'll do for body is just put a margin And we could do a margin of some, I forget, I think I put it like 60 pixels or something on the sample. If we want, you could do 2M, which should be very similar to that amount. It should be 16 pixels times 2 going all around. So we'll put that all around. So I'm going to start off with that. And if I save that and I actually go back to here, you can see what that did. There's the margin going around that, the 2M going around. It's fairly close to my original, maybe a little bit less. But there's our margin going around of 2M. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a selector for my form. And I'm going to set it to be relative. And I'm going to do this so that everything that I move in here will be relative to that. So I'm just going to put position. And I'm going to put relative. And that, you won't see anything, nothing's going to happen from that. But it'll give me a kind of a starting point when I move other things. They'll be relative to that. So if I do absolute, absolute will be to this form. And the next thing I'm going to put here is I'm going to put, now on the sample again, I made a class for our input areas, but I don't need to do that. I could just put input and select all the input areas. If I look at my HTML, you can see all these input areas, input type text, input type button. All these input types are basically in our HTML, and those are the ones we want to lay out so they kind of line up here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to move them over from the form, from the left side of the form. And the way we're going to do that in our CSS is I'm just going to put a selector here, and I'm just going to put position absolute. And then after that, I'll put left, meaning it'll move from the left. Position will move from the left. And I'm going to put 12M. And I'll save that, and I'll just take a look and see what it looks like so far. And there's our new one. This is the original one. This is the new one, and that looks about right. We can increase our margin a little bit if we want, but that's fine for now. So that's all we need for our input. And I'm not sure what else we need for what other styles we need for now. I think we're going to create a style for full address, and I'll put in my # for the ID, and I'll put full address. And I'm going to put font family. And then the last one I always put sans serif as a default at the end. So we're going to use that font family. We can even throw in a color. I didn't do on the original, but we could put a color. And we could just type in red, or we could put in red like that, or we can actually, do a quick edit and actually, find the hex number. If you want to use the hex number for that, we could do that as well. So I could put in a hex number for the red, and I'll put in like 3M. I think I had. That'll just create a division between the form and where this starts. So that's pretty much what's going to happen here. I think on the other three, we're going to be able to put in a style for all three. And I think from what I remember, I think we're going to put a margin 0 and a padding 0, just to remove all the padding from those. And I think that's it for now. I'm not sure what else is going to be in there, but I think that's good for now. I'd have to check our notes again, but check your notes for that. And I think we're probably pretty good with the CSS. I don't know if we need much more than that. And again, you can see how it looks right now. We can't obviously see this part down here, but the form looks pretty good. So we're ready to work on our JavaScript.